privacy reasons, the names of individuals involved in this case have been changed. Stay tuned. Newport Beach. Summer 1973. An 11-year-old girl finishes school in the afternoon, leisurely walking home as usual. But this time, she never arrives. A frantic search is launched into the night. Familiar streets suddenly become dark as flashlights sweep through every dark corner, every vacant lot. Her parents, tears streaming down their faces, stand in front of the house, hoping for a miracle. But then, a day later, the answer comes crueler than any nightmare. Her body is found in a deserted swamp. The police quickly discover that this is not just a simple disappearance, but a horrific crime. Who is the killer? Why did he act so cruelly? And why, for more than 4 decades, has justice eluded her? The journey to solve the case lasted 45 years, through unexpected twists and turns and clues that seemed lost, until a breakthrough in DNA technology unravels it all. This is the story of Emily Carter, a young girl whose life was taken too soon, and the relentless hunt to bring her killer to justice, where every unsolved mystery contains secrets that want to be revealed. Step into the darkness and explore them with us. Don't hesitate to leave a like as an encouragement for us, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to update the most classic cases. The case of Emily Carter is one of the most shocking child murders in Newport Beach, California. The 11-year-old girl went missing one summer day in 1973 and was found dead the next day. The case remained unsolved for 45 years until advanced DNA technology helped reveal the identity of the killer. Emily's story is not only a heartbreaking tragedy, but also a testament to the remarkable progress of forensic science, bringing justice to the victim after nearly half a century. On July 6, 1973, Emily Carter left home early in the morning to attend summer school at Lincoln Intermediate School. The 11-year-old was the youngest child in a happy family, living with her parents and older sister in a quiet residential area in Newport Beach, California. With a gentle, quiet, but intelligent personality, Emily was always the pride of her parents. She loved the piano, loved reading, and especially loved animals, often spending hours playing with her pet cat at home. That morning, Emily wore a turquoise dress combined with a white shirt and white sandals, the outfit that would later become the last image of her before disappearing. She carried a small school bag containing a few notebooks and a sandwich that her mother had prepared. Before leaving, she happily said goodbye to her mother and promised to return on time. But no one expected that it would be the last time her family saw her alive. Class ended in the afternoon, and as usual, Emily prepared to go home. Normally, she would ride her bike or walk, but that day, because it was hot and tiring, she hoped that her mother would come to pick her up. After school, Emily waited for a while, but no one came. Then she decided to walk home as usual. On the way home, Emily walked along a familiar street where there were small houses with lush gardens, shady trees, and occasionally a few cars passing by. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, a group of classmates saw Emily standing near a turquoise van parked on a deserted street corner. A middle-aged man was sitting in the car, seemingly talking to the girl. A witness, who was also a student at the same school at the time, said that the man had a strange appearance, wearing a light-colored shirt and jeans. He had dark hair, a scraggly beard, and wore sunglasses. The boy remembered that Emily looked a little hesitant, but there was no sign of panic, so no one thought anything unusual was going on. A few minutes later, as the group of students continued to leave, the van disappeared with Emily. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. As the evening wore on, and Emily Carter still hadn't returned home, her family began to worry. At first, her mother assumed that Emily had stopped by a friend's house or had been kept at school longer than usual. But as time passed, the uneasiness grew. Around 6 p.m., Emily's parents began calling family members, friends, and the school. But no one had seen her since after school. Their concern quickly turned to panic as they realized that Emily had disappeared without a trace. Around 7 p.m., the family decided to call the police. Less than an hour later, Newport Beach police were at their home to gather initial information. Patrols were immediately deployed to search the area around the school. Along the route Emily may have walked home. They called every house, every shop, every coffee shop in the neighborhood, but no one had seen her after about 3 p.m. Investigators also compiled a list of suspects in the area, including individuals with criminal records related to attacks on children. At the same time, dozens of volunteers, neighbors, friends, and family members of Emily poured into the streets, calling out her name in vain. Flyers with Emily's photo, describing the outfit she was last seen wearing, were quickly printed and distributed throughout the city. Local radio stations also began broadcasting news of the disappearance, asking people to come forward if they had any information about the girl. Several witnesses said they saw Emily standing near a turquoise van with an unknown man, but no one had specific information about the license plate or a clear description of the man. Nevertheless, the police immediately focused their investigation in this direction, searching for all the owners of the emerald green van in the area. As the night wore on, despair settled over Emily's family. As the clock struck midnight, her mother could not hold back her tears, collapsing in grief as she thought of the worst that could have happened to her daughter. The police continued to search vacant lots, parks, and swampy areas, but still, there was no trace of Emily. The search lasted all night, but Emily was still missing. A chilling fear gripped the entire city. Everyone understood that an 11-year-old child could not have disappeared without a trace unless something terrible had happened. Early on the morning of July 7, 1973, the search for Emily Carter continued on a larger scale. The police mobilized more forces, along with hundreds of volunteers, to search every street, every park, and every vacant lot in the area. No one wanted to give up, but hope gradually faded as the night passed without any trace of the little girl. Around 10:00 a.m., a man named Richard Thompson, while walking in a swampy area on the outskirts of Newport Beach, accidentally discovered a strange object among the low bushes. As he approached, he shuddered to realize it was a small body lying motionless among the weeds. His whole body went cold when he realized it was a little girl wearing a turquoise skirt and white shirt, exactly matching the description of Emily Carter on the news last night. He immediately rushed to the nearest gas station to call the police. Within 15 minutes, the investigation team was on the scene. The area where the body was found was about 20 meters from the main road, near a small stream that ran through the swamp. The area was deserted and had few people, making it an ideal place for the killer to dispose of the body without being detected. The crime scene haunted even veteran investigators. Emily was lying on her back, her body showing signs of being dragged across the ground, her hands placed close together on her chest, and her eyes closed as if she were sleeping. But the truth was much more horrifying. There were obvious bruises on Emily's neck, indicating that she had been strangled to death. Her clothes were askew, indicating that she had likely been sexually assaulted before being murdered. The police cordoned off the scene, collected DNA samples, took photos, and examined every detail they could find. They found fresh tire tracks near the body area, possibly belonging to the turquoise van that the witness had seen yesterday. An investigator commented,
"The killer knew the area well. He didn't dump the body in a vacant lot but chose a more hidden, harder to find spot. That shows this wasn't a random murder but a deliberate plan."
News of Emily Carter's body being found quickly spread throughout the city. When the police arrived to inform her family, Emily's mother collapsed on the floor, sobbing while her father was speechless. The whole neighborhood was in extreme pain and fear. An innocent 11-year-old girl had been kidnapped and brutally murdered, and the perpetrator was still out there, unaccounted for. Now, the investigation officially entered its most important phase, finding the person who took Emily Carter's life. Immediately after Emily Carter's body was found on the morning of July 7, 1973, Newport Beach police quickly mobilized all resources to search for the killer. The initial investigation focused on the turquoise van that witnesses had seen before Emily disappeared. Investigators immediately narrowed down the area to those who owned similar vehicles. They went door to door, checking hundreds of drivers, but none matched the sketchy descriptions provided by witnesses. Police also carefully screened people with a history of child molestation and suspicious behavior. But due to a lack of concrete evidence, they could not go any further. Although there were some important clues at the scene, at that time DNA analysis technology was not yet developed, making it impossible for police to identify the killer. They collected fingerprints, hair samples, and semen from the victim's body. But the 1970s criminal database did not have the ability to match DNA, making the evidence largely useless at the time. After months of investigation, with no new leads, the case was closed, to the disappointment of the victim's family and investigators. Emily Carter, however, was not forgotten. Every year, on the anniversary of her death, Newport Beach police reviewed the case in hopes that new technology or a new confession might help solve the case. Emily's family, especially her mother, never gave up hope. They repeatedly appealed to the media to cover the case, hoping that someone would remember something important. Years later, they still kept Emily's room intact, with her stuffed animals and the baby piano she loved. However, as time passed, the pain of losing a child was replaced by despair. By the 1990s, forensic technology had advanced significantly when police began using DNA analysis to identify suspects in old cases. Newport Beach police decided to re-examine all the evidence collected from Emily's case, especially the DNA found on her body. In 1995, the first successful DNA sample was extracted from the killer, but when compared to the crime database, there was no match. However, investigators were not discouraged, believing that one day the database would expand enough to identify the killer. Over the next several years, police periodically re-examined the files. Each time the criminal database expanded, they tried to match the killer's DNA to it, but to no avail. The case seemed stuck in the past, and people began to think that the killer would never be brought to justice. It wasn't until 2018, nearly 45 years after Emily's murder, that a major breakthrough occurred. This time, DNA genealogy technology, an advanced method that can help identify suspects through their distant relatives, had developed enough to aid the investigation. Forensic scientists from Parabon Nanolabs, in collaboration with the FBI, used open genetic databases like GEDmatch to compare the killer's DNA sample with millions of profiles of people who had volunteered to take genealogy tests. The results showed that there were several people in the system who were distant relatives of the killer. From there, the team began to reconstruct the family tree, narrowing the search to a small group of possible suspects. After months of analysis, they narrowed it down to a family with a genetic connection to the killer and eventually found a 72-year-old man living in Colorado. Detectives secretly collected DNA from an object the man had used, such as a discarded cup or cigarette. When the results were released, everyone was stunned. The DNA matched 100% to the sample collected from Emily Carter's body 45 years earlier. The killer was finally revealed. On July 20, 2018, police raided John Miller's Colorado home and arrested him on the spot. He initially denied all charges, but when he was informed that his DNA matched the sample found on Emily's body, Miller had no way to deny it. During interrogation, he confessed to the crime he had tried to bury for nearly half a century. He said that on that day, he stopped his car on the side of the road, pretended to ask for directions, and then lured Emily into his car. He drove to a remote area, where he brutally attacked and murdered her before dumping her body in the swamp. When asked why he killed Emily, Miller shrugged and said he didn't want to be caught. After 45 years of uncertainty, Emily Carter's murder was finally solved in 2018, when police identified Richard Allen Thompson as the man who killed her in 1973. Incontrovertible DNA evidence, along with modern forensic records, helped investigators unravel one of the most haunting cases in Newport Beach history. Thompson was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and child abuse. Prosecutors claimed he had a history of crimes, including previous sexual assaults that had never come to light. Witnesses who had seen him in the past also began to speak out, describing a cunning, dangerous man who had gone unpunished for decades. His trial was scheduled for 2020, but Thompson never faced justice. Earlier that year, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer, which had spread throughout his body and was rapidly debilitating. He died in September 2020, before a final verdict could be reached. Although he never saw his killer brought to justice, the truth was finally revealed. None of Emily's family lived to see the case closed. Her parents passed away in grief and despair, never knowing who took their daughter's life. The Newport Beach Police Department held a press conference in late 2020, officially declaring the case solved. In a statement, they stated,
"Although the perpetrator never faced justice, the truth was revealed. Emily Carter finally got the answers she deserved."
Emily's case is not only a heartbreaking story, but also a testament to the advancement of forensic science and the determination of investigators to never give up. Justice may be delayed, but never forgotten. Emily Carter's case was not only closed after 45 years, it also became a milestone in forensic history. It was one of the first cases solved using DNA genealogy, an advanced technology that helps identify suspects by comparing crime scene DNA samples to online genealogy databases. Using this technique, investigators narrowed down the list of suspects, identifying Richard Allen Thompson as a blood relative of the DNA collected at the scene. This breakthrough helped them get closer to the killer who had remained unsolved for decades. The success of the Emily Carter case ushered in a new era in criminal investigation, helping law enforcement agencies solve many backlogs of cases that were previously thought to be unsolvable. Since then, DNA genealogy technology has been used to solve a series of other serious cases, bringing criminals who had seemingly escaped punishment forever to justice. Although justice came late, Emily's story helped change the criminal investigation industry, bringing hope to hundreds of families still waiting for answers about their deceased loved ones. Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this story and want to dive deeper into more intriguing mysteries, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.